Is this your go-to move or something? You just hook me in and make me believe that you're this gentleman.
I'm not playing games.
Oh, sometimes games can be fun. You really looked out for me. I'm not used to it.
I'll get used to it. Every morning when I wake up, first thing I think of is you.
Did you fall in love easily, Frank?
Hey, you look beautiful.
You are very impressive in the kitchen. But are you strong enough for the pressure of what will be in front of you?
Easy glass, Frank. You've really outdone yourself.
Who was the mook?
Come on, he was harmless.
I'm off to Paris for some fun.
Where are you staying?
At Alan's spare flat. He sends his regards, by the way.
Baby, you okay? What happened?
I think I made a mistake. I love you. What happened had an effect on me.
You want us to love it?
That I can't understand.
That troublesome little girl. You don't trust her?
I need to know that I can.
It was nothing. It meant nothing.
Are you two still together?
I was very clear about what would happen if he made another mistake with her.
He played you. You got played. Why did you track him down, Frank?
Your monkey lies to himself about what turns him on. No man should be exposed to that. I love you.
Me too.
Give it up one more time.
Hi.
Thanks so much for being here. Congratulations on Frank and Lola, a movie that I got to watch last week, and I have to tell you, I loved it. I loved your work on
Great.
it.
Thank you.
I mean, right off the bat, you cast two people, Imogen and Michael Shannon, that I find eternally watchable. At the very least, just watchable and also great actors. So that's amazing.
I would agree with that, yeah.
How did you go about getting the two of them involved in the film?
The story with Michael goes a little bit farther back because it took me quite a long time to get the film made. So he was originally attached to the movie in 2009, and we
So
had.
you've been working on this movie for about 7-8 years now?
Yeah, longer actually, like 10. And then we had him, and then we lost him, and then fast forward 3 years, we've got the film set up together. I met Imi and immediately knew she would be perfect. And then at the last minute, Michael's name showed up on a list that was sent to us, and I was kind of blown away because I thought that ship had probably sailed at that point, you know. But they said, no, Mike's still, like, he really, like, loves the script and wants to work with you. And Michael also had never done a romantic lead before, and he was in, so it was incredible. I dreamcast across the board.
100%. And
Yeah.
what drew you to the script?
Well, I just really loved the idea of a romantic relationship that went wrong, because I think that's just something highly relatable, and I saw it as quite a tragic piece in a way. You know, just two people trying their best to make something work, and they don't succeed, and that is tragic. And additionally, just sort of the idea of obsession. I mean, that was something that Matt touched on when we first met about the film, is this notion of obsession and what that can do to you, and sort of sanity and love being incompatible. But I just wanted to play a character that was so layered and complex, and
She's constantly revealing elements of herself as well, and what I loved about her character is while she is the one that is consistently suspect, or the suspect at times, it is revealed without giving anything away, she is the most vulnerable in the film.
well, potentially. I mean, you know, I think it's interesting because, you know, both of these characters, you sort of, as an audience member, I imagine, you don't really know who you're empathizing with at one point. You don't know who to respect or to trust, and you see people sort of diminished by each other, and I just think that's kind of a fascinating thing to watch unfold.
And there's an element of her. Is she a victim or is she a player? How did you feel about her? What made it easier for you to empathize with her as an actress? Did you think of her? Was it easier to play a player or to think of her as a victim?
Well, it's always, you know, a multitude of things, and something which I felt strongly about from the get-go was that Matt had written a story that sort of subverted the idea of the like archetype, like this is the femme fatale or the siren, and this is the imperfect man who gets led astray. And it wasn't really like that. It sort of seemed far more like two people whose ugliness is revealed and were just had this kind of rapacious need for love and wanted it so badly, but just weren't very good at it.
I think you said it perfectly. It's subverting that archetype. Like it's always setting up that archetype and then going into a place that you've never seen that archetype go.
Yeah, I think so. And so obviously at different points you see them become victim or hero, depending. But I loved that. It kind of felt equal in that way.
There's an element of the film that to me feels like also an extreme metaphor for like the early stages of a relationship, which is like, should I trust this person? What about their past? What does their past say about them now and our love here? Was that something that you were also sort of crafting into the story as well?
Sure, yeah. I mean, trust is a big part of this film, as a metaphor as well as something that drives the story forward. And once that trust becomes threatened, that's when hijinks ensue, I guess. I wanted to put these characters in a position where they weren't sure if they were being too trusting or if they were being naive and they should be more distrusting. And then that would create a real sense of confusion for both of them.
Well, it puts the audience in that situation as well.
Yeah.
Where did you come up with the style of the film? It has like a sort of neo-noir style in Vegas and in Paris, and I'm curious if that was something that you were interested in and then crafted a story around that, or if the story came to you and you realized it could kind of sort of fit into this look.
Well, both Vegas and Paris they have a lot of symbolic kind of importance built into them already for very different reasons, and they're also both such visual places in very different ways. So I really wanted to play on those expectations, and that's kind of what I tried to do with the film, as Imogen had just spoken about, playing with the idea of the femme fatale, playing with the idea of Vegas and what that means to be there, and going to Paris and what that means to be there, and how. So yeah, it was a lot of expectation twisting that I was trying to do in the film.
I think you also do an incredible job of shooting Vegas and Paris differently. When I was watching it and it was taking place in Vegas, I wasn't consistently going like, oh, that's a Vegas shot that I've seen before. That's the lights reflected in the windshield, or this, and that. It's you found much more subtle ways to shoot it.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, that was, we certainly did not want to make, another Vegas movie for sure. So I had an incredible cinematographer, Eric Koritz, who I worked with, and we had a great team across the board from production design, costume design, and it was a real group effort to do something that felt very unique and of its own making, and not something that was, a bad imitation of something else.
Now, I would imagine that a film like this you shot fairly quickly. Was it a quick production?
Yeah, 17 days in Vegas and then 5 days in Paris.
And by the way, the days, some of them were like 1 a.m. to 1 p.m. because they had to have the casino totally empty. So we'd start our day at like midnight, right?
That was weird. Yeah, well, we were on like a regular schedule, and then all of a sudden you have to stay up all night and start work at 1 a.m. and wrap at 3 p.m. And
so you have like permanent eye twitches all the time, but like no one else can see them.
Yeah, that was
You had like 17 days of night shoots, basically?
Almost.
And not even night shoots, you're saying 1 a.m.
We
to
had
1
one
p.m.
day shoot. I think we had one. There's like very little of this movie that takes place during the day. There's some day scenes in Paris, but it's pretty much all at night for the most part.
When you're shooting in Vegas, did you happen to shoot chronologically at all? Because, the way that the story unfolds, I don't know if you knew Michael Shannon beforehand or anything, but you could have a kind of, if you start chronologically, you could build that same relationship via getting to know each other.
Well, to start chronologically, that means we would have started like...
Well, not that one scene, right?
Slap bang.
Not the cold open. Not the cold open. After that.
That would have been a hard scene to start with, I think. I obviously,
Welcome to Frank and Lola. Come on in.
Any filmmaker or actor in an ideal world would prefer to shoot something chronologically. I would, for the most part, but that's just not the way it works. We had, Justin Long's schedule, Michael Nyqvist's schedule. Everybody, there's a lot of moving pieces, and then it's when we could shoot in the casino. So, but for those reasons, it's very important that everybody really understands the story and where you are with it, because you don't have the luxury of kind of getting to know the characters from page one to the end of this film. And everybody did a really wonderful job.
What was that like for you developing this relationship for a 17-day shoot?
Well, I think with the nature of this story, you know what you're walking into. So it really is a kind of matter of you turn up, it's real, then it's not real anymore, and that's sort of the job in a way. But of course, a very kind of trusting, close, intimate environment was curated by Matt and created by everybody else around on set. But I mean, that's sort of that's what you're there to do, you know. And if you believe in something truly, and you can sort of carry other people there with you, and you listen, and you're sort of just living it sincerely, then that's it, really, you know. But he was a great partner in crime, and I think, you know, the experience of making it was, as we say, just so fast. That's the thing. So you really are just like totally in it in Las Vegas. A bunch of maniacs all together in Las Vegas making a maniac movie.
For the film, obviously, there's some dark subject matter, but that didn't carry over to we had the most wonderful, positive, like loving group of people that all really just went completely full out to make this film as good as it could be. So we had a ton of fun, even though the subject matter might be difficult at times.
How did you go about casting Justin Long? I think it's one of the best casting decisions in regards to Justin Long that I've seen in a really long time. He's perfect for the guy that Michael Shannon is viewing him as early on, and then who he becomes later.
Yeah, I mean, you said it yourself. His name showed up on our casting directors in Atlanta. I was like, that's the guy. You know, Justin's perfect.
Wasn't there something in this? There was something in the script where it said looks like David Schwimmer,
yeah,
right?
And
which is amazing.
And he does kind of look like David.
I mean,
yeah.
Did you cross that out before sending it to Justin Long?
No. Yeah,
he was like, yes.
He's like, I do look like Schwimmer. So Justin was he brings a very specific kind of energy to a movie set, and working with him. I mean, him and Michael's energy playing off each other, and then Imogen somewhere in the middle we had a lot of fun.
Justin seemed to have this like just volumes and volumes of green juice, you know? But then he'd be like, you want to get a tequila? And I'm like, yeah, but what's going on with your chlorophyll, man? Pretty strange.
He's really good at improv too, Justin. He'll do it a couple times and give you what you need, and then he'll just start going to town. I mean, people were.
Well, and that's the kind of character that you want for it. I mean, he's the one who seems like a player. Is he a nice guy, or is he a player, or is he somehow both at the same time?
Yeah.
What was it like, sort of crafting a movie sort of around the dangerousness of the male gaze? So much of the film is about jealousy, male jealousy specifically, and the sort of the horrible path that it can lead you down.
Yeah, I mean, there's some emotions that you really shouldn't spend too much time indulging in because it can really lead you astray, and sometimes the only way to understand that is to actually go down that path the wrong way and experience the negative side and the ramifications of that. And that's certainly something that Frank does in the film. Much destruction is caused by his behavior.
And for you, playing the part that is kind of the other side of his gaze and that dangerous path that he goes on, where did you approach that character from? Were you thinking about it in terms of her specific emotional journey, or how she's also viewed in relation to this man? Because so much of the film is about how he views this girl, this woman.
Yeah, I mean, when I was playing the role, I certainly didn't think about it in terms of how I was being viewed by Mike's character, because that just didn't apply. And in that way, you were almost subjugating the role in some way. You really, no matter how kind of enigmatic or inscrutable a role is that you're playing, to you they're a real person. And perhaps when you finally see the film, which is kind of has that voyeuristic quality, you're like, oh, okay, I kind of understand how you're observing this couple. But I very much viewed her as kind of a counterpart in the obsession. You never really know someone, you know. The people are unknowable, and I think you can sort of fall into these fictitious narratives in your mind about who someone is and what they've done, good or bad, and become a victim of your own mind and imagination in that way. And I think you see that sort of happen.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Amy.
Well, it's just like a riddle. It's
Yeah.
kind of like a riddle, isn't it? And especially
Does that make
romantically.
you? Are you an actress that kind of takes it day by day in terms of what is the scene that I'm doing right now? What is the action that my character is taking? Or are you the type of actor who's kind of like, why are they taking this action? How does it relate to what they're doing later when I'm doing in 2 days? Or do you sort of, like I said, take it day by day, scene by scene?
I think you always have to obviously know kind of the scope of the story you're telling. So it depends sort of what your intentions are. But I also think there is some inherent mystery to why something might turn out the way it does, and perhaps you think in your head a scene will deliver this, or this will be determined by this, but you really don't know till you're there doing it. So I suppose it's just living each moment authentically. But technically, yeah, I think you sort of always have to be slightly aware of. Sort of, it's like I was about to make a ridiculous analogy, which is like, if you're going to get pregnant, if you're playing a pregnant person, make sure the bump is growing, which makes no sense. But that's where my mind just went with it.
That makes sense to a degree. I mean, yeah, we'll take it.
Nonsense.
As a director, you want your actors to be in the moment as much as possible, and then hopefully you can step in there and sometimes provide some context. Like, remember that moment that we did the other day? This is the exact opposite of that thing. Try to hopefully provide some context so that they don't have to think about anything other than what they're shooting that day. I tried to do that when I could, but also not give them too much information so it would be distracting or annoying or whatever.
I want to go back to the visual look of the film because we were talking about archetypes that the characters sort of could embody, but then the film subverts that. And as we were saying before, the look of the film kind of does that as well in regards to noir. Were there any touchstones that you had going into it?
Yeah, there are tons. We spent a ton of time developing the look of the movie, and then creating a lookbook and a reference list of movies. Everything from Michael Mann to Kubrick to contemporary French filmmakers like
Alphaville was on there, right?
Alphaville was on there. Yeah,
Was it a Godard film?
yeah.
Oh, wow.
Claire Denis, Jacques
What
Audiard.
specifically about Alphaville? Because photographically, it feels to me very, very different. I'm
Yeah,
wondering what your inspiration
well,
was.
oftentimes it wasn't a literal thing. It's not like I want to, get a Sergio Leone spaghetti western close-up here. It's more the approach to the actual process, the specificity of it, the way the camera angles would work with lenses and movement. Even if it wasn't what you wanted to do, specifically that kind of approach to the filmmaking process was something that I found very inspirational. If that makes any sense. It's a little abstract.
No, it makes perfect sense. As soon as I think of Alphaville and that era
It's like
of
his
Godard.
that voice in Alphaville, which is like, blah, 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 blah. This is like,
Was that you, Michael, talk like this?
Michael talks like that anyway.
When I think of Alphaville in that early period of Godard, I think of how like the blocking is such a massive construction in regards to the frame. Everything
Yeah.
is very sort of intentional and self-reflexive, and
Yeah.
this is this is a much more naturalistic
I
film.
mean, there's only one Jean-Luc Godard. It's very hard to, especially with your first movie, try to start breaking the fourth wall and doing self-referential stuff that calls attention to the process. You got to really know what you're doing, otherwise you're going to fail spectacularly. And with this one, it was very important that we just immerse ourselves in the narrative and create that world. That was important, really important.
I have to ask, you've had a pretty incredible year. You had a film this year called Green Room that I also love. So you have 2 movies this year that I really loved. You had a show on Showtime, Roadies, with Cameron Crowe. How do you go about selecting your projects? They're pretty impressive lineup.
I think these days, I just really want to do stuff I care about, and that took me a second to take a break and be like, all right, I want to do stuff that I really can stand behind and you want to commit to, and spend your life doing. And so just because, I always say this with trepidation because there are so many actors all over the world, and I know this is a very unique position to be in where you audition and you get a job and you can have a working life as an actor, and sort of I'm just an actor for hire, but at the same time I can sort of maybe navigate my own way now and sort of commit to projects that I really believe in. rather than just say for the sake of it, okay, well, if this is, like, there's a version where it's like, if this is the career, there's one career you could have, maybe that's not of interest to you. And that's something you have to know and follow your intuition and not betray it and keep going. So that's my convoluted way of saying these are projects I care about.
When you were doing Roadies, which I thought was such a different kind of show than what was on the air in the sense that everybody was good on the show. It was a show of decent, good characters, all sort of trying to do
morally good.
Yeah,
yeah,
and trying to do the best that they can and show television, especially hour-long dramas or comedies, dramedies, if you will, all feature like an anti-hero. It's the main thing that is of television right now. And it felt like to me with Roadies, it was fighting an uphill battle by being like, no, we just want to be a show about good people trying to do the right thing. Did it feel to you guys like you were as well sort of fighting an uphill battle in terms of tone? And
well, the tone of that's interesting. It's very specific to Cameron. Yeah. And what he can do so well.
There's never a villain in a Cameron Crowe film, as far as I mean.
No, I mean, but this
Everyone's
is
trying.
yeah, we're all trying to think here. I mean, I think the problem though with that kind of thing is if you're like nobody is morally at ease. So to create characters that are apparently that way is a very difficult thing to achieve because there's naivete and then there's delusion, and they're two different things. And I think it was, you have to ground those characters somewhere, but it really was a specific tone, and we all loved making it. But I think in a way the story that Cameron intended to tell was told. Over 10 episodes. I think it's sort of like a Crowe decalogue of sorts.
Roadies is Cameron Crowe's decalogue?
Yeah.
Love that idea.
Yep. But no, it's an interesting, you're right about the tone. I mean, it's a hard thing to grasp, and I do think anti-heroes are what we need more of, so especially for women.
Oh, you think so?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I think that's if you look at sort of a film like Taxi Driver or something, that those are, because I think there's unfortunately this notion that a woman has to be strong, and strength implies lack of flaws and sort of this moral vanity, and someone who is kind of in control in some way, and that the idea of being out of control is somehow condescending or diminishing someone's kind of character. But I don't think it's that way at all, and I think kind of the anti-hero is an interesting road to go down, especially like the purview of women is life itself, and life is hard and difficult and messy, and it'd be nice to see more of that.
I mean, I would argue that you got to play one of the great female anti-heroes of the year with Green Room. I mean, she's maybe not she's an anti-hero. I mean, she might be a neo-Nazi who becomes the hero of the movie.
For sure. No, I was that to date has been one of the finest roles I've had the opportunity to play, for sure. I have Jeremy to thank for that, for sure. No, I loved playing Amber.
What was it like when you, and this is the last question about Green Room, but since we're on the subject, when you had to slice the stomach open?
Oh, that was so funny, because basically...
Has anyone seen Green Room? It's incredible, and there's a scene in the middle of the movie where they are wondering if someone's dead, and to check whether or not she's dead, she pulls out a blade and just slices his stomach open, casually.
No big deal. So it's funny, because we had these incredible prosthetic artists, right? So often before the scene, the wounds would just be placed around the set, awaiting their turn. So the sort of like the sliced stomach was just like chilling in the corner. So I kind of saw it before it was put on Eric, the actor. And then when we did it, obviously it was, it's just deeply strange, but when you're in it, you're just in it. And I don't really remember much of it apart from afterwards just being like, sorry, Eric. And he was like, that's okay. And the whole thing, it was pretty strange. But yeah, there was lots of just random just limbs, just loads of limbs chilling around the set.
Let's open it up to the audience for questions. Who has questions out there?
Hey, so Matt, I was wondering, I was reading that you started off as a journalist or a film journalist and then did short films before this. How was it easy to transition to a feature-length film, and were there any challenges that you faced?
Yes, I was a film journalist for a long time before doing this. It took me, as I mentioned before, it took me a while to get the film made. So I was doing journalism. I had some wonderful experiences as a journalist, but the plan was always to direct a movie. So yeah, that was tough at a certain point. You know, you're just like, okay, like it's another year. I still haven't gotten the film made, and it's a real challenge.
How many scripts did you have written by the time that you got a film made?
Oh, I don't know, a bunch. But this was always like we were really potentially 2 to 4 months away from prep for 8 straight years. So you know, it's hard to. I'm very single-minded, and so while I was, of course, working for hire as writing screenplays and doing journalism, Frank and Lola was still, it was, you know, it's not like it had faded away. It was always almost there. So it's very difficult for me to just fully immerse myself in something else until I got this thing done, really.
What would halt prep? Is it just sort of the money would come and go?
I mean, you know, it's like herding cats trying to get a film made. You know, it's or gathering ants with a spoon. That's another metaphor I've used. You know, it's like you have, you know, say you need 5 pieces.
Where did that metaphor come from, by the way? There's like one guy who's like, if you ever gathered ants, it's really hard. The spoon and ants.
A Brazilian friend of mine told me that, I think. But, you know, you need, say, what, 5 pieces, 4 pieces to get something into production. You need, and in this case, it would have been Frank, Lola, the money, and a start date. Really, those are sort of the 4 main pieces that we would need. And you get piece number 1, and then you get piece number 2, and just as you're getting 3, 1 falls apart. Then you get 4, and 2 falls apart, and so on and so forth. You know, ad nauseum forever. And then at a certain point, it's just you need a tremendous amount of luck. You can be as talented as anyone else, or as supremely talented, supremely hardworking. That still does not account for just the degree of chance that you need to have on your side.
But resilient too. Like I think you were highly resilient with it. Resilience is such a
or
like
crazy. I mean, you know, whatever.
You know.
It was really right until the end. It was like I'm either like crazy like a fool or crazy like a fox.
gathering ants with that spoon.
Gathering ants with that spoon. Yeah.
Come on. Do you find that your background in film journalism, obviously it's going to be a help when you have a working knowledge of films and you can sort of reference things to show things, but did you ever find that it got in your way? No, it was really helpful. I mean, I was very, really fortunate to have, to be able to sit down with Robert Altman for an hour and a half and talk to him about the craft of filmmaking, like alone in a room, and then, you know, do it with Steven Soderbergh and all these guys and female directors like Claire Denis, who What era Altman? Was it Prairie Home Companion era?
It was the last big interview we did before he died, actually, right after Prairie Home Companion.
Was Prairie Home Sorry, guys. Now I have a question about this.
Sure.
Because I always had this theory about Prairie Home Companion, and I don't remember if he actually said this at the time, but that he knew Prairie Home Companion was his swan song, that it was his goodbye movie, because it's all about death, it's all about these artists finishing their job, and literally death appears in the movie and pulls people away.
Yeah, I mean, I forget how old he was when he made that film, but I'm pretty sure he was in his 80s at that point, or late 70s. I mean, of course, if you're somebody has such an incredible, 40, 50-year career behind you, and I'm sure mortality is going to come into question if you're making a film in your 70s or 80s. I mean, the time's running out.
I was always curious if he ever brought it up. Next question.
I don't think anybody would have the guts to ask Robert Altman that. He was
combustible.
I thought he was a wonderful guy, but he didn't mess around. Yeah.
Hi, well, kudos on the film. I can't wait to see it. Imogen, I just wanted to ask about next year. Are there any projects you're particularly excited about, either that you're going to be acting in next year that are coming out in early 2017 we should look out for?
That's a very nice question. Thanks. I think there's a couple of things we shot this year. Say we, like the Queen. I mean, me and other people. That will come out at some point. Just a couple of independent films, which I really loved making. But I'm going to go to a play, which I haven't done before, but I've wanted to do theatre for a very long time. I see a lot of theatre here. So, Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf? Yeah, so that'll be really, I'm really, thanks.
Are you doing it in the city, or are you doing it?
In London, actually.
In London?
Yeah, I'm going to go back to London, and I'm really excited about it, but thank you for asking.
No big deal. No big deal. She's fearless, this one. really is.
Yeah, well, we'll see.
Yeah.
Get that sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I said, I mean, the two people that you have in this film on the poster are probably two of my favorite working actors right now. You're both incredible. And so there's like, if you roll the camera on you or Michael Shannon, I'm like, I'm watching whatever they're doing right now, whatever they're going to do.
I think it's because we both have big eyes, you know? Like, we both have
It
quite
might
big eyes.
be.
It's a big
So
eye
there's,
theory.
like, more to see.
On top of that, you're also talented.
Thanks a bunch.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty cool, man. To get these two guys and the rest of our cast to star my first film, it's like, I'm still pinching myself. It's the coolest thing ever.
Well, it's one of those things where people always say the best part of making films is happy accidents. And with these two actors, I'm just going to talk about you like you're not here. With these two actors, I'd imagine that you find lots of wonderful happy accidents because they seem to bring a lot of themselves to every role.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, the best thing that you could have as a director is like sitting and watching your monitor and be like, what are they doing? That's amazing.
I mean, that's sort of that was the plan from the beginning, which is to bring people together who have their own kind of creativity and can bring something to the process that you can't bring to the process, in front of the camera or behind the camera, you know? So there are happy accidents that happen constantly throughout the making of the film. Working with Imogen and Michael and the rest of our cast, as well as working with our whole creative team. And then, of course, something weird will happen, and we'll just figure something out on the spot. And it's on you, really, to create an atmosphere where those things can actually happen, as opposed to something that's too rushed, or where people feel stressed out and they're not thinking properly. So that was something that was very much on the forefront for me, was to create the right kind of creative atmosphere so that everybody those happy accidents could happen, and then we could exploit them.
I have to ask, what do you think as a film journalist over the years, what do you think, I had imagined that you were just compiling data for when you went to go make your first movie. What do you think the greatest piece of advice or the greatest thing that you were told by a director or an actor that you took with you onto the set?
Probably to change your socks at lunch. It really gives you a pep in your step.
Who told you that?
I forget. I think it might have been Walter Salles. Oh, and the other thing was I got from Sidney Lumet's book, Making Movies, take a nap at lunch. So I would take a 10-minute nap, change my socks, and I felt like a new man for our second half of the shoot.
That is maybe one of the best books about filmmaking, the Sidney Lumet book.
Yeah, read it.
Next question.
So this is for Imogen. Is there any kind of role model or kind of idol you look to or try to channel when you act? Maybe specifically in this movie.
Well, I probably couldn't channel anyone that I really admired, but one of my favorite working actresses today is Amy Ryan. Been talking about her a lot today, actually, because the person who, Rian White, who styled my hair, works a lot with Amy Ryan. And she's in a play right now called Love, 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 and I was just like blown away by her. And I've seen her in everything like Jack Goes Boating and Win Win and Gone Baby Gone, obviously. I think she's just a stunning actress. And also, I've always loved Catherine Keener. I think Catherine Keener's a stunning actor, and Michelle Williams makes wonderful choices again and again, is wonderful in all of them. So really, you just want to. I just love watching films and watching plays, and I think it just helps you question and understand so much about what we're all doing here, you know? Not to be too, I hope that doesn't sound pretentious, I just really mean that in a way where it's sort of with you, isn't it? Art in that way, and those are women who, for me, have stood out.
Yeah, the list of actresses who've played Imogen's mother, we were just talking about this backstage, who've played Imogen's mother in films is an incredible list of talent.
It's wild, right?
Yeah, Catherine Keener, Rosanna Arquette.
Mary Louise Parker.
Yeah. Some talented moms out there.
That's pretty incredible. Guys, Frank and Lola, how can people see it when, sorry, like my transition? Yeah, sure, guys. Frank and Lola, how can people see it? When is it coming out?
The film comes out tomorrow in theaters and on VOD. So go to Fandango or one of the ticket sites, see if it's playing near you. In New York, it's playing at the Village East Theater, which is just a few blocks away from here. I'll be there tomorrow night, actually, for the 7:55 screening for a Q&A, and it's playing in about 25 more screens throughout the country. And if not playing near you, you can download it and watch it on iTunes, Amazon, Google Video, any of those things will have it, I think.
And you should do it. It's truly fantastic. You guys did a wonderful job. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you very
Congratulations.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. Thank you.
Thanks.